Yo, what's good, you guys? Your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast as I'm driving off to work. So, I've been basically, reading around some of the fake outrage that's been going on since, Joe Biden's decision to pull out the troops out of Afghanistan. And it's been 20 years in counting since America started their war in Afghanistan in response to the 9/11 attacks. And I've been listening in to all the comments and to all of the fake responses that people have been throwing out there, and I'm just sitting here laughing because these were the same people that wanted the troops pulled out of Afghanistan in the first place. These were the same people that basically said, "What are we doing here in Afghanistan? This is a complete waste of time." All right, the amount of money that we spent in this war, in terms of weapons, in terms of infrastructure, and everything else in Afghanistan was all for nothing, right? Not to mention the fact that the amount of lives that were lost in the war on both sides, by both on the Afghanistan people, but also in particular with the U.S. soldiers, right? And so I just found myself, literally laughing because, there was no good outcome to this whole war. All right, literally Afghanistan was in a bad place even before the U.S. went in there, right? And so I'm just literally sitting there like, what did y'all expect? What did y'all expect to think? What did y'all think was going to happen? The Taliban was never going to go away. All right, they were basically reorganizing. They were restructuring their troops, recruiting more troops. Right? It was the inevitable that was going to happen. The only thing that was surprising is how fast it was, which tells me that the Afghan government themselves were not invested in defending their own country or stabilizing their own central government. Right? So that's why you've been seeing a lot of the surprising responses, though. But I'm not a supporter of Joe Biden. I don't like him anyway. But it didn't matter who was president. All right, it didn't matter if it was Bush. It didn't matter if it was Trump. It didn't matter if it was any Republican or Democratic president. If they held a decision about pulling out the troops and they actually led through on their promise of pulling out the troops, you best believe there was going to be a lot of responses to that, right? Especially with the fake propaganda that Fox News has been printing out for the last few days. Like, oh my God, like what's going to happen to the Afghan people? The poor innocent Afghan people are going to get hurt by this. Now listen, I am in no way disrespecting the Afghan people at all, because my heart goes out to them, man, and it's a very unfortunate situation that they're going through this right now. But let me ask y'all this, okay? Let me ask y'all this. If you care so much about the Afghan people, why not accept refugees, right? Because as of right now, Canada accepted 20,000 Afghan refugees, all right? The UK is about to accept 10,000 Afghan refugees. Why not bring them in? If you care about them so much, if you care about, oh my God, the women's rights in that country is going to be stripped away and all that, why not accept refugees? Oh, wait. That's right. Because you basically strip away, immigration reforms, and you strip away DACA, right? You literally stripped all that away because you didn't want to deal with immigration, right? That's right. Even during the Trump administration, remember, he pretty much said that America was no longer going to be allowed to bring any refugees or any immigrants to the country. So it goes against what you believe and what you think and what you follow with this guy, right? So miss me with the whole fake outrage about accepting refugees or anything else in between, because we know it's all BS, all right? The bottom line is this. There was no good outcome of this war. I was around 8 years old when the U.S. invaded Afghanistan, right? For 20 years, we saw countless stories of how bad things were in Afghanistan and how the U.S. was trying to, centralize a government or whatever the case may be. All that for nothing. Because what tells me is that the higher ups in Afghanistan were not invested in rebuilding their own country. And more importantly, they weren't invested in bringing in a centralized government to help stabilize the people. Because you saw how the people were when they were going into those planes. They wanted to get the hell out of there by any means necessary. And literally were climbing on top of the planes and literally falling to their deaths. My heart goes out to those people for that, right? So It didn't matter who made the decision, right? Let's be real. It didn't matter who made the decision. This was the outcome no matter what. All right? The Taliban just got stronger in the years after they were being pushed out. And the only thing they were surprised was how quick they were able to take the government by any means necessary without even lifting a finger. So, literally, those 20 years that were just literally wasted for nothing, right? And at the expense, U.S. soldiers came back home physically messed up and mentally messed up. And a lot of them lost their lives over this war that literally was really no sense. I know a lot of people in my life that were involved in this war. And a lot of them pretty much told me that they spent 6 to 8 months or even close to maybe 2 years in there. And they literally had to ask themselves why they are here. Why they are here wasting their time on this war. Right? Because it just literally didn't make any sense. All right? And I have the sense that even though that the Taliban is now taking over the government, the violence is only going to get worse from here on in. Because now, pieces of the Afghan army or whatever, they're going to turn into basically their own individual militias. And the violence in that country is only going to get worse from here on in. Best believe that. All right? So, the only reason why I'm making this video is because, you know, my heart goes out to those people because they don't deserve this. All right? The Afghan people. And also to the U.S. soldiers that were in there, basically literally wasted their time and ended up getting messed up in the process in every which way. And so, it was a waste of time. And it was a pointless war, and it didn't need to happen. And the bottom line was, it didn't matter who became president, because at the end of the day, it was a pointless war that didn't need to happen. All right, it didn't need to happen. The U.S. should never got themselves involved in it. But here's a little lesson to all the other countries out there: be wary of when America wants to get involved in your stuff. Right? It's a dangerous method to having a westernized philosophy on that other side of the globe. All right? There's no reason for that at all. And in all the countries that basically were involved in it, you know what I mean? And all the other countries that were invaded by the U.S., how did that turn out? For Libya, for Iraq, any other countries that basically had America basically invaded in there, how did that turn out? Not so well, right? So, literally, This was pretty much the inevitable, all right? It was pretty much the inevitable, and the fake outrage I'm hearing is just beyond laughable. Like, you wanted to keep these troops in there for 20 years and have them even worse out of it. Like, really? Stop it. Just stop it, all right? So, it is what it is. That's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comment section below as I'm driving off to work. And with that, I'm out. Peace.